Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with the next Panda palette update. I am panning the Modern Renaissance palette this year. You probably all know that by now. But yeah, I am panning this palette and hopefully I want to finish this year. I want to get as close to finishing this palette as I can, and I'm excited to share with you where I am with this palette now. So I'm gonna jump into the palette itself, but before I do so, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So as always, I'm going to scooch a bit more to this side and I'm going to be able to put up the picture here of what the palette looked like last month. So as you can see, I had a lot of progress on this palette already. I had quite a few shades finished and I had pan in every single eyeshadow. So yeah, that is where I was with my palette last month. My goal over the past month was to use this palette as much as possible. I wanted to use every single shade at least 7 times. And yeah, I also have a focus shadow each month. So in the last month I have red ochre as a focus shadow, and yeah, that's basically my goals. I didn't really want to finish anything necessarily last month. I just wanted to get as much use as I could out of the palette, and this is what my palette looks like now. So you can see there, hopefully you can see the pictures as well. I feel like I have quite a big palette expansion on a lot of the shades, but I'm gonna go through them in order and talk about each shadow. So let's just go through all of the eyeshadows as well, is briefly like what I have used up as well. So the first shadow in the palette is Tempera. I used that up after 69 uses. Then we have Golden Ochre. I finished that after 74 uses. Vermeer, it took me 66 uses to finish. And Bone Fresco took me 123 uses to finish. Then we have the actual first shadow that I still have left in the palette, which is the shade Antique Bronze. So Antique Bronze I was able to use 7 times in the past month, and this is what it looks like now. I'm hopeful that this has pretty decent pan expansion because when I use this, I actually used this 3 times in the Halloween looks where I used this quite heavily, both on my boyfriend and on myself. So twice on my boyfriend and once on myself. I used this as like for me I used it as a contour shade, and for him I used it as like a really blown out smoky eye, and I also used Sombre for that as well. But I'm hopeful that I have pretty good pan expansion on this shade, because even though I only use it 7 times, I feel like 7 times is still pretty good in a month. I did use it quite heavily, especially the last 3 times I used it. But that is Antique Bronze, and again, hopefully you can see some good progress. I haven't looked at the difference in pictures yet, but yeah, you were able to see it before me. I mean, I will see when I edit, but I don't really know now. But I'm hopeful that I have some pan expansion there. Next to that we have the shade Love Letter, which is this shade here. I know for a fact that I have expanded the pan a little bit, at least in this one, because last month I had used pan on it and I had quite a small pan at that point. But this shadow I have used 8 times in the past month, so slightly more than my goal, which is really good. And yeah, I know that I have a little bit of pan expansion. There's still a lot of shadow in this eyeshadow. This is the one that I have the most eyeshadow left in, and I'm definitely least hopeful to finish this year, but I'm still happy with the progress that I have on it. Last for the top row we have Cypress Umber, and Cypress Umber, I'm so happy with my progress. I have used this one 19 times in the past month, and I definitely think I will have some decent pan expansion on this eyeshadow, and it's getting quite low around the pan as well, so it's not like super high. Like, let's compare it to, yeah, even like Love Letter. I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up on camera, but the eyeshadow around the dip is much lower, so I feel like the pan will expand relatively quickly. The thing with Cypress Umber is that it's a very deep shade, and I only use this really as an outer corner shade, but I have used this a lot throughout the month as a base for my outer corner, and then I have kind of faded it inwards with a lighter shade, and I really like that effect. I like using it that way, so I think I'm going to continue using it. I wish I would have started doing that earlier in the year though. I always do this with projects, especially Panda palettes. I kind of feel like I have so much time left in the year, and then towards, you know, I feel like when October hits, I always hit this like kind of place where I'm just like, okay, shit, we're almost at the end of the year now, and then I start focusing on shadows and I find more creative ways to use them, and that's kind of what happened with Cypress Umber. I mean, it's not crazy in a way, like using it just as a corner shade, but sometimes I don't really want to go for smoky looks, and maybe that's also because we're in the autumn now and I don't mind the kind of deeper looks. But yeah, I don't know if I will finish this shadow, but I will continue using it, and hopefully I can get some really good pan expansions before the end of the year. Moving on to the second row, the first shadow we have here is Raw Sienna. This one I have used 20 times in the last month. It's a really nice, easy transition shade to use, and I have really good progress on this one too. Similarly to Cypress Umber, this one is also very flat in the pan. I feel like this is even flatter than Cypress Umber, so I feel like this will go quite quickly. I don't know if I don't think I will finish this in the next month, but I will try to focus in on this as much as I can to try to finish as much of it as I can, but I'll definitely have this done by the end of the year. Then let's go over some of the shadows that I have finished previously. First we have Burnt Orange, which is this shade here. This one took me 106 uses to finish. Then next to that we have Primavera, which only took me 37 uses to finish, mainly because I used it as a highlighter. Same with Vermeer actually, but yeah, that one took me 37 uses to finish. Then we have my focus eyeshadow for the month, which was Red Ochre right here. I was trying to use this as much as I can, and hopefully because of that you can see some pan expansion. Again, I haven't seen the pictures, but I do feel like this is expanded a little bit. I used this one 17 times in the past month. With my focus shadow, I've tried to use that shadow at least 15 times, so I'm happy with 17. And with this eyeshadow, again, I have kind of flattened the area around the pan. So before, I know the eyeshadow around the pan was very, very kind of tall, like it wasn't easily expandable because yeah, the eyeshadow was just not very like shallow around the pan. I have, however, like I said, worked on that, so even though the pan has maybe not expanded as much as I hoped after 17 uses, I am, you know, I think it's gonna expand quicker now because I have kind of, you know, lowered the eyeshadow around the pan. So that is Red Ochre. Then we have the final shadow that I already finished in the palette, which is Venetian Red. This one took me 53 times to finish. It was a very powdery shadow for me, so it was really quick to finish, even though I didn't have pan on it when I first started working on it, or when I started working on this palette. But yeah, that is the last shadow that I have actually finished so far. So next to that we have the shade Warm Taupe, which is this shadow here, and this one has really, really good pan expansion again. I have used this one 30 times in the past month, and I use this as my eyebrow shade every single day. I'm using it that way today again, so that is why I use it so regularly. And this is one that I might have done by next month, because I have hit side pan everywhere apart from at the bottom. So at the top here, at the side here, and at the side here I have it side pan. The bottom I'm slightly off, but I'm gonna work away in one corner at a time. So currently I'm working on this corner here, so I'm going to try to work that away and then just work around, and maybe I will be able to finish this next month. But again, even if I don't finish it this month, it will definitely be done again before the end of the year, because I use this every single day. But I will try to finish it. Maybe I have to use it in my crease a couple of times, but yeah, this one should definitely be done really, really soon. Then the last shadow in the palette is Realgar, which is this orangey shade right here. This one I have used 7 times again in the past month, which is really exciting. So that means that I did hit my goal of using every single shade at least 7 times, and I'm really pleased with that, because it was a bit stressful in the last week because I had a lot of usage left on, especially Antique Bronze, Love Letter and Realgar. Those ones, I had a few uses left to hit my goal on, but I was able to do so towards the end of the month. Like in the last week or so, I was really pushing it. I'm filming this on the 31st, so the day is going up. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with the palette and where I am with it now. So looking at the palette, I don't think I'll be able to finish everything in this palette before the end of the year, but I will try to focus in on as many shades as I can. Hopefully I should be able to finish Raw Sienna, Warm Taupe and Realgar for sure. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus in more on Antique Bronze in the next month. I was going to put Realgar as my focus shadow originally, but I had I think most of these shadows as a focus shadow now. But I do think I want to put in Antique Bronze as a focus shadow, because it's one that I have a hard time reaching for. I think it would be nice as a base, like putting it all over my lid and then putting a shimmer on top. But it's hard, like with panning so many eyeshadows, because I need to incorporate a lot of eyeshadows in my looks. So using one shade all over the lid and then topping it with a shimmer is not the most effective when it comes to my rest of my panning. But I'm going to focus on Antique Bronze, I believe, as my focus shadow, because I feel like this will go a bit quicker when I start using it, because it is more of a satin shade, and like shimmer and satins I feel like goes quicker than mattes. So that is going to be like my focus eyeshadow for the next month. And then on top of that, I have already kind of briefly mentioned my goals, but the first one will be to try to finish raw sienna. If I won't stress about it, because I feel like it will definitely be done early the month after, so early December, if I don't finish it in November. And then also I want to try to finish Warm Taupe, which is the shadow here. Again, I'm using it in my brows every single day, so it's not going to be a struggle, and I don't really have to force myself to use this one because I will use it anyway. But those will be my main 2 goals. Then with the remaining 4 shadows in the palette, so Red Ochre, Love Letter, Cypress Umber and Realgar, again I just want to use as many times as I can. Again, if I can reach every single shade like 7 to 8 times again in the next month, that would be amazing. I think I'm going to try to do that again, because I just want to get as much use out of this palette as I can. Because I don't think I will finish those 4 shadows. I mentioned maybe finishing Realgar. I think that will be my main focus out of the rest. So again, raw sienna I definitely want to finish. Warm Taupe I also definitely want to finish. I'm going to try to finish Antique Bronze and then Realgar. But those will be my main focuses, and that would mean that I have Red Ochre, Love Letter and Cypress Umber left. And I haven't really quite decided what to do with this palette, if I'm just going to keep this project going or if I'm going to incorporate this with my 2023 pan palette. I have a idea already what I want to pan next year, so I don't know if I want to keep this going as a separate project, so like a second pan palette until I finish it, or if I want to incorporate it with my other pan palettes, or if I want to just incorporate these eyeshadows into projects. Let me know what you would prefer. So like, for example, I could just keep this project going as it is, or like I said, incorporate it with my next year's project pan. I will have a pan palette anyway, so then that would mean that I've had 2 pan palette videos for the first couple of months of the year, or just like roll in 1 shade at a time into projects. Let me know what you think. But that is it for my Panda palette update. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I always ask this question, but if you're a Panda palette, let me know how you're doing down below. I love reading your updates. I know some people update me every single month with their progress, and I'm really excited to follow you guys along. So if you're doing one, please let me know how you're doing. And otherwise, I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye guys.